Hey guys, it's Venom Splatter, and today I have a random video slideshow for you. I decided while I'm playing a few Yu-Gi-Oh games to dig up some of my cards I've gathered throughout the years and talk about my duels and experiences I've had growing up. So, if you're interested, buckle up, I guess. So, here we have a few of those funny Neos cards that are useless. What fun cards these were. Not really. I remember getting these cards sometime around like 2006 to like 2009. I only ever remember like pulling out one or two in an actual duel successfully because, lots of ways to just completely shit on people, like using trap hole or, Sekretsu armor, cards like that. I mean, it also doesn't help with the fusion requirements. They were good on paper, but at the time, like, not needing polymerization and having to just have Neos, a 2 tribute summon monster, and a very specific Neo-Spatian monster on the field to make the fusion. It just was way too hard to pull off, and you would usually need a couple of turns to set it up, only to be shot down immediately. And to really rub salt in the wound, you'd have to shuffle Neos and that Neo-Spatian back into your deck. I don't know if you could use defusion on the Neo-Spatian, the Neos fusion after you did that either. It was just far simpler to use polymerization and pull out elemental heroes. Also, it was nice having cards like, Miracle Fusion to banish, heroes from the graveyard for a really fast fusion in case your opponent, like, completely screwed up your polymerization. While they did have some pretty awesome effects, those funny Neos fusions, I never really put them into practice. I got tired of them just constantly being destroyed the minute I'd summon them out, like instant. I'd never have them out long at all. So I just said, you know what? I don't like these cards. I'm going to throw them in my old, card box and just let them gather dust, which they did. And then I just kind of kept using the elemental heroes. It really never got old, like running into people who would use like Dark Magician or Blue Eyes or Cyber Dragons. The Cyber Dragon duels were always the best because they pull out this massive Cyber Dragon, then they pull out limiter removal, think they're going to kill the just sad Avian or Burstinatrix sitting on my field, then I activate Mirror Gate. Flip-flop our monsters, my opponent's Cyber Dragon attacks my monster, but they take all the damage for it and then they lose. That was always my favorite thing to do, and I did it several times to people. I'll never truly know why these Neos cards here are so valuable. Some of them, last I checked a couple years back, were a couple $100. Like, I think the most expensive one was like $300, and I was like, no way. For an original copy of this card, and I'm like, nah, to this day, I still think they're awful. But let's move on to the next set. Here we have the elemental heroes. These cards were always my favorite. I always thought their fusions were awesome, and then watching the show, I remember vividly some of the plays Jaden made. Like when he used Hero Flash and then had 5 elemental heroes out using Oversoul and all this stuff, and then he would just direct attack, eliminate, or the famous Mirror Gate, flip-flop, reverse Uno, take your opponent out. Good times. Blade Edge with his slicing right through defense position monsters, especially if you didn't run like Nobleman Cross out. I have a random Hero Ocean there. He wasn't out at the time, but same for Stratos. And yeah, Wild Edge was pretty cool too. Overall, they were like my favorite cards, and to this day I still love and run them. Now here we have some of the OG fusions I had. Even the old Phoenix Enforcer. I remember when Aster Phoenix pulled this bad boy out. He was awesome. I always thought he was cooler than Flame Wingman. But in reality, they both have their uses depending on the circumstance. And I always, when I'm running any Elemental Hero deck, I always use both of those cards. They're just like a staple for me. And then you have the funny Absolute Zero there. I don't think he came out until years later. But, you know, you got your Mariner, your Mudball Man there. Tempest. And then everybody's favorite Thunder Giant. No, everyone hated that card because of his effect. But Shining Wingman, these are all really, really old cards that I've been collecting. Really, really into them. And then right here, we have like Nova Master. Yeah, Gaia. Another Tempest. Wild Wingman. Yeah, really, really funny cards. And then the one Neos Fusion that I didn't mind using because of his requirements. They seemed pretty fair, you know. But ignoring the effects of that Neos there, I find it funny that my Elemental Hero Electrum there is called Electrum, but in the GX Tag Force game, I don't believe they call him Electrum, which is kind of weird. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that or seen my GX videos for the Tag Force game, but it was really interesting. And I don't know, I just like having a lot of versatility here, and you know, with the Elemental Hero Fusions, you get that. But I think we should probably, you know, move on from these cards here. And oh yeah, I wanted to show all of these. All of my little Elemental Hero cards that I like to run. You know, I tried to, as I was collecting the hero cards throughout the years, every hero I'd just want to throw into a deck. So you have like Prisma, Stratos, Liquid Soldier, Solid Soldier. I don't know where the other one is. Like, I know I have every single Elemental Hero card in existence, but it's hard when you don't constantly look at your cards, and they've been sitting in a box for the last 7 years or so. Rottweiler, I have a lot of those. I could probably wipe my ass with those. Lady Heat, yep, that was a fun card. I remember beating some of my friends just using her effect and then running like the A forces and having 3 of her on the field and just chilling, using just desserts. So every time they'd have a bunch of spell or trap cards, they're taking burn from that too. A couple of support spells to add even more burn, and then the duel would be over before like the 4th turn. That was good times. I was doing that in like junior high, so like I want to say around like 2009, 10ish, around there. Elemental Heroes were a real nuisance to people, and I loved it. I also could be wrong. I just wanted to make this video and, you know, show cards and talk a little bit with you guys and show you guys some stuff. Let's look at the my cards that I used in the actual deck. You know, I just put a few of them down. You know, I got Fusion Gate and Skyscraper 2, a random Feather Shot, because every now and again that actually would help me out. I'd also use like Reinforcement of the Army if I'd have that in my hand, and Feather Shot, and then pull a funny Avian move. Miracle Fusion, I had 2 of those. I should have probably laid the cards out better so you could see. Defusion, to prevent my monsters from getting screwed over. And I wasn't really sure, because I didn't play many of the games as a kid. So I wasn't really sure if I could use Defusion on like those Neospatian guys, you know, the Neos Fusions. And then I have HERO, and then somewhere in my box I have Hero Flash. I love doing that. And I couldn't find my Mirror Gate, but I have like 3 of the original Mirror Gates, maybe more than that. I should really dig up my cards and organize them better. And if you guys like this video, I get like 20, 30-ish likes, I'll actually organize my cards up and I'll do a better quality video and discuss the cards more in depth, rather than just showing random cards. And I think I'm gonna stop talking about the elemental heroes right here. Let's move on to some other cards I've collected over the years. Oh boy, the Magician Girls. Yeah, these cards sent me into a buying frenzy. I even used a bonus that I made at work to get these cards. And I have at least duplicates of these, like, specific, Magician Girls, probably like 8 of each. Like, it's ridiculous how many Magician Girls I have. And then, there was a limited edition pack where the cards have like a gold border around them. And it had some like Charging Gaia the Fierce Knight and these really, really odd and out there cards. I'll show a lot more of them, and they were insanely OP. They still are pretty OP cards, even the Magician Girls. I remember seeing them in the show and wondering as a kid, like, why are none of these like Magician Girls except Dark Magician Girl? Like, why can't I find any of these cards? Getting them as a kid from my parents, and then I had a job at like 13 helping my uncle do stuff. I'd buy card packs and still never get any Magician Girls, and it always was confusing to me. But we also have the Silent Magician here, and I got that card randomly while mass produce buying these Magician Girls, and I got one of those. And that card was super expensive, and it is really OP. Just gets, it gets like attack based on the number of cards you have in your hand, I believe. And like if you have 5 cards in your hand, that's like, it pretty much makes it a level 8 Silent Magician. And if she gets destroyed, well, you're still gonna deal with her because Silent Magician level 8 comes out right after that. And then if you destroy that, you could just do this bouncing back and forth between this card. You can completely cut Silent Magician level 4 out of the equation with this card. And, just use Monster Reborn or find ways to bring her back. And then if she's destroyed, just keep special summoning level 8. So you just have this insanely powerful monster at all times. And, maybe some viewers have caught that card in the upper left. It's not in the best big position, condition, but I have a really, really interesting story on how I got that card. And it's really old. It's probably one of my oldest cards I have. Well, to keep a long story short, how I got this Dark Magician card, I was in elementary school in like 3rd grade, 4th grade. And my elementary school used to get Shonen Jump as one of the library books. For some reason, they would get Shonen magazines, well, the booklets, the big, thick manga books. And I was the first one to get this specific volume, get my hands on it. And this card was in the book. Now, I know it's wrong to steal, but the minute I seen that card, I took it. And to this day, I don't regret it, because if anyone else got this book before me, even if they didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh!, they would have done the same thing. I know I'm not wrong there, but it's not in the best condition. It's not in the worst. I got this card and I put it up, and I would take it out to just look at it, and it's not in the best condition, but it's definitely one of my most valuable cards. So, yeah. But enough about them. How about we talk about some Cyber Dragons? Oh yeah, I've collected some XYZs and Synchros and all that fun stuff too. I just didn't bother digging them out. I wanted to try to keep them along the theme of GX related cards, because I've been playing the GX game, and I have the original End Dragon, I have the newer version of it, I have so many fucking fusions and like XYZs. This isn't even close to the number I have. I could literally take one of my walls, let me look at my wall real quick. I could probably fill 1/3 of a wall, like, and just make a wallpaper out of like fusion cyber dragons. And then if I incorporated the XYZs and fusions and spells, traps, everything related to cyber dragons, monsters, I could probably fill up an entire wall, you know, of just straight up cyber dragon. And so many people growing up love these cards, and they love Blue Eyes and Dark Magician. They would always use these, but no one really cared for the elemental heroes in my area. And they always thought they were weak, but then I'd turn around and smack the shit out of them because I was watching the GX show. And as everyone knows, who's the protagonist? It's Jaden. So I'd see these crazy things he would do on the show and be like, oh, so that's how you use that card. Thanks, Jaden. I'm going to try that. And that's actually how I learned how to do things with Hero Flash and Skyscraper 2 and Hero Flash was one of the harder ones to pull off, but the easiest one to pull off and always the funniest, because people would get mad and, what the hell? That's bullshit. That's not fair. You cheated. Because of Mirrorgate, like, hey, let's switch monsters. This is what Mirrorgate does. And then their OP Mac Daddy 5000 attack monster would kill my monster on their side of the field, and then they'd throw a fucking fit. Every time. It would never fail. And it was always the funniest thing to me. But enough cyber dragons. I might show more in the future. If this video does good, we'll see. I believe I was an adult, like 18, 19 years old. And if you've watched any of my Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force duels around the finals and stuff, you might have heard me call Alexis's Cyber Tutu. I would keep saying Tutubon. Well, that is why. This Cyber Tutubon is a staple for the Cyber Angels, which Alexis doesn't have. Although I believe she's supposed to get them, which is weird to me. Like, I hope in the next game, because I plan on playing it, that I get to see the Cyber Angels in action, because I love these rituals. I loved using them. This is another deck that I would personally use, because no one ever used these. And I didn't get to use them until I was much older, mind you. They had this pack come out for them. I do have, like, Cyber Gymnast. That's an old one. That is a very old card. Edelisle Cyber. That, again, that's really old. I also have a couple Blade Skaters, and I also have the Fusion 2. I forgot what the Fusion card is when you fuse, like, Edelisle Cyber and Blade Skater, but I have it laying around somewhere. You know, maybe I'll talk more about that in the future. And then, finally, here's just Cyber Prima. And, for the love of God, if you run Cyber Prima, just don't do what Alexis does. You know, it's not worth summoning Cyber Prima if you have A forces out and like 4 monsters and like, or Swords of Revealing Light, like oh my god. But Cyber Prima is very good for clearing all face-up spell cards activated on the field. It'll just wipe the field for you, which is pretty handy. And I would always run this with the, you know, the rituals, the Cyber Angels. So these cards right here, I just wanted to show these to a buddy of mine. All these Odd Eyes Dragon cards I have. I probably have every single one in existence, but I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! When, you know, Pendulums came out, because Pendulum summoning was just ludicrous. I still dabbled in other things and played some, like, video games of Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's about it. Well, here's these Odd Eyes Dragons. Then here's all those crazy, you know, Time Gazer, Stargazer Magicians. I have a ridiculous amount of these, too. At the time, I started getting all these Odd Eyes and Time Gazer Magician cards was when I had a really good job, so yeah, I just have a surplus of these. And then finally, here's a mess of these Performapal cards. What I said about the Cyber Dragons is completely irrelevant now. You know, about filling up like 1/3 of my wall. Yeah, I have so many Performapals, I could probably literally make my entire bedroom out of a wallpaper with just these Performapal cards. the spells, the traps, the fusions, XYZs, the pendulums, the monsters with effects. I like, if there's a Performapal, I probably have it, unfortunately. I don't care about these cards, but supposedly now, like, half of these cards are banned. I don't know. But maybe I'll do a video just all Performapals, because this is insane, the sheer number I have.